Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Douglas Carswell, I mean, Kate Hoey, for example, said if we vote to leave, we have 350 million we send to Brussels every week that can be spent on the NHS. Can't, can it?
I think it's fair to talk about 350 million a week, and let me explain why. If you look at the Office of National Statistics figures, last year we spent 19.1 billion on money that we handed over control to Brussels. Now, there are 52 weeks in a year. Divide that per week, and you get a figure slightly over, actually, the 350 million. And it's money over which we've ceded control. Now, you're right. We do get a rebate, but we don't have control over that. It's not written into the treaties.
We have a veto. They can't remove it.
It's up for grabs, as you know, Evan. It's up for grabs every few years. In 2020, it's up for grabs again. When Tony Blair was in charge, he handed half the rebate away.
We don't have to hand it away if we don't want to, though. I mean, that's a negotiating thing,
it's
isn't
not
it?
just the rebate. Some of the money is spent
but look, you
at
said
the discretion of the EU, not of us. We hand control away.
We would not have the rebate. We're not sending the rebate over. We don't even send it. It doesn't even get...
Hang on. You know, Evan, the rebate is paid a year in arrears. So we are handing it over, and we get it back the following year. So it's quite legitimate to say that we're handing control over 350 million.
Britain sends 350 million a week to the EU. We don't send that because we don't send the rebate.
We cede control over 350 million a week.
Why did the Statistics Commission call it potentially misleading to use that figure? They actually sent a fairly excoriating
I've actually brought the letter with me, and the letter confirms the key facts, that it's 19.1 billion.
It doesn't confirm that fact. It says that's it. It just puts that in as a figure for illustration.
I've brought this letter because it's often cited and often spun, but if you look at the facts actually reinforce everything that vote leave
before the
saying.
rebate, it would be the 18 billion.
Well,
but
it makes it clear that actually, when we give all this money to Brussels, about 9 billion of it we never see again. It's going to subsidise Mr. Juncker's jet or pay for tobacco farmers in Greece. It's money we never see again.
Should we attach the same credibility to all the claims your campaign is making that you want us to attach to that one?
Well, it's absolutely factual. Every week we hand over.
We get a rebate. Would you? I mean, we get a rebate.
We don't control that. It's not written into the treaties.
We don't control it. We don't pay it. We don't pay it.
It's
we couldn't
vulnerable.
spend that money on the NHS because we don't send it to Brussels.
But we're highly vulnerable because the rebate is not in control. No British government can guarantee.
We'll get nowhere on that one. I was hoping we might be able to get agreement on it. Amber Rudd, it isn't 350 million on any normal view of it. It may not be a hospital every week or whatever the thing is, but it is a hospital every 2 weeks, isn't it? It is quite a...
Well, can I just comment on Douglas's and his campaign's use of the 350 million? It is misleading, and I would really urge you and your team to stop using it. The fact is we do spend money sending over to the EU, but it's not 350 million. I think it's probably, after we account for the rebate and after we take into account to what we've received back, it's more like about 17 million a day. There is a cost, though, but I wouldn't look at it in terms of a hospital or schools. What really counts for strong public services is a strong economy. And if we're going to have a strong economy, we need to be in the single market. So I think it's wholly misleading to look at this in terms of trying to net off the costs we pay into the EU against spending money here. A strong economy will deliver strong public services.
Well, I made that point for you, that's what economists will argue. I don't want to spend more time on that numerical debate because we could just argue till the cows come home.
So, the UK and Europe, let's talk money, real money. Let's say this is £5 billion, and each year as a country, we make nearly 2,000 billion. Take a bit less than half, that's what the government spent in 2014. And in the same year, this was our contribution to the EU budget, £11 billion at today's exchange rate. Alongside everyone else's, you can see us, we're in red, Germany, France, Italy, the big countries put in the most. Malta, population under 500,000, the least. But we pay by far the lowest, measured as a share of our national income. Here we've dropped to the bottom. Most countries pay around 1% of their income to the EU each year. The reason for this special treatment? Maggie Thatcher and the famous rebate she won. It's this discount taken off our contribution. So what happens to our cash? Well, a bit more than half comes back to us to be spent in the UK. More than £3 billion to support farmers, over £1 billion to develop poorer regions, build roads, ports, fund businesses. Most of the rest goes on research grants, universities, companies like Rolls-Royce. If we controlled this money, we could spend it on other things, but only by depriving these of funding. And what that leaves is around £5.5 billion a year, because we pay more to the EU than we see back. We're one of 10 countries that do this. Germany gives the most, followed by France and us. Most of the money is distributed to Europe's farmers, while some is spent on poorer regions or on Europe-wide projects. Infrastructure, energy, spent in space even, European rockets and satellites. Essentially, it's our fee for entry to Europe's single market, with which we do more than 40% of our trade. But all these figures could be dwarfed by what might happen to our economy if we quit the EU. If it grew a lot or shrank a lot, the impact either way on our government's finances and on us all could be huge.